Thank you, council members and mayor, for this opportunity to speak. My colleagues and I from Friends of Columbia Tap are speaking today because we want a better future for the Columbia Tap Trail, but I'm standing here today because of a night in Columbia Tap's past, specifically the night of January 8, 2023. I've lived right off the Columbia Tap Trail for almost a decade now, but that one night will always stand out to me because it's the night that I saw a motorcycle sliding down the street directly in front of my house, and the owner of that motorcycle sliding by a half second later. Rodney Adkins was traveling by bike along the trail with his wife. The motorcyclist traveling at highway speeds down a city street didn't see Rodney in time to slow down, and as a result, 2 dead people lay in the street. I spent the next few hours consoling a screaming wife just a few steps away from her husband's mangled body. I will never forget the blood, the body parts in all the wrong places, the screams ringing through the night. That night was a wake-up call for me, a call to embrace responsibility for promoting the safety and well-being of those on and around the trail. And today I invite everyone here to embrace that same responsibility. According to the Texas Department of Transportation records, 116 pedestrians were killed on Houston streets in 2022, including 11 cyclists. At the halfway point of 2023, we're on pace for twice that number. While the slow drip nature of each individual death allows these incidents to slip through in and out of the news cycle, I think it's safe to conclude that we are suffering from an epidemic of violence against those who walk and bike along our city streets. I commend State Senator Carol Alvarado on her sponsorship of State Senate Bill 1663, an effort to empower city councils such as yourself to lower speed limits in residential areas. Ultimately, this bill failed due to inaction from state legislature in Austin, but the opportunity is still there for local agencies to create safer conditions for all people. These include proper lighting across the entire trail to ensure safety at all hours of the day and night, speed cushions at trail crossings to encourage slower speeds for vehicles, protected crosswalks to enhance pedestrian safety, signage indicating the presence of the trail to alert people and vehicles approaching the trail, and reversing the direction of stop signs at streets to prioritize stopping vehicles. If you ride all 4 miles of the Columbia Tap Trail, you will cross 36 different vehicular intersections. 2 of these at Elgin and Alabama fall in Houston's high injury network. You will also make dangerous crossings at McGowan, the Gulf Freeway, and McKinney, the site of Rodney's death. Each day, people who heed the call to use alternate forms of transportation to relieve congestions on our city streets and reduce our carbon footprint risk their lives to a reckless driver. People who choose to be active in order to promote personal health, who walk, run, and bike along the trail, risk losing their lives to a distracted motorist.
Time has expired.
And what I would say to you, Mr. Grobe, is that we have put in place our Vision Zero initiative. We've also identified on the high injury network, and we're working on those streets.
And we appreciate that. And
with grants that we've already received, we've identified those streets where there's a high injury network. We also know that 6% of our streets, where 6% of the fatalities or the serious injuries are occurring, and we are focusing on those streets. And that's on all of those networks, even connecting to our trails. And the good news is that where we have addressed those streets as a part of our Vision Zero network, there have been no fatalities from those on our bicycles or pedestrians. There have been no fatalities, any major injuries on those streets that we addressed. So we are working through that. I agree with you 100%. But the Vision Zero plan is in effect. The high injury network is already in effect. And even with federal dollars that we have recently received, we are tackling already some of those streets.
And we thank you for that. We commend you, and we just encourage more unified efforts to bring funding to the trail.
Councilman Robinson.
Thank you. And I'd just like to echo what the mayor has just said, and really thank you for not only participating in this forum, but what you've done in the community. It's absolutely tragic what you've described and the scene and what you and some colleagues have brought forward about the Columbia Tap. And as someone who's ridden it and aware of the safety issues, and someone who's leading our transportation committee and that of the region, let me tell you that we are committed to improving safety. The mayor has said where we've touched streets, there have been improvements, and knock wood, there have not been fatalities, but we are looking for ways to improve the list of things that you've just recited. I'd like to visit with you about personally, and just again recommit to those things that you stand here before us today.
Thank you. I will reach out to you so you have my contact information.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilmember Cisneros.
I too wanted to thank you for coming today, and I know that as you're sharing what your experience was, how difficult that was for you to relive, and but it's important to be heard, and I think it's important to be reminded, and I would encourage you to come back every now and then, and even to repeat what you just said, just to make sure it stays at top of mind here.
Thank you for that suggestion. I will take you up on that offer.